Real estate as an industry has a huge need for innovation and for disruption, but a real tendency to see it as only technology, buying a particular gadget or a piece of kit, like a chatbot for a customer portal. And actually what we really need as an industry is systems innovation. The way that we build our buildings is changing radically. There's lots more robotic construction going on. The way that we operate buildings and communicate with customers and tenants, whether they're residents or tenants of shops or of offices, all of that is changing enormously. The real estate market is changing, the way that things are funded and it's structured. So there's huge levels of innovation, but it's a very siloed industry, lots of very highly professional technical specialisations, and very often there are gaps between how those silos interact. And so I think that system-wide innovation is really what we need. The industry is by nature not particularly collaborative. There's a tendency for people to really hold on to their data, to hold on to their kind of IP over everything, and actually therefore that culture that innovation needs of sharing, of that kind of design thinking and learning from different expertise is not something that always works terribly well. But you are starting to see people understand that they need to share and collaborate more to make that happen. Government is also really pushing real estate, particularly around construction, to invest a lot more in things like modular construction. So Japanese companies that are coming over here that can do volumetric builds with kind of robotic, much faster, much more efficient, much cleaner construction. So I think that's starting to have a ripple effect through the industry where people can realise that benefits rather than it's not giving away their income. The biggest opportunity for the real estate industry as a whole in the UK is around cultural innovation. Actually, it's a very homogenous group. It's predominantly white, male, privately educated, very similar backgrounds, and that groupthink is not the environment in which you get innovation. Actually, just in terms of gender diversity, the UK real estate industry has 14% women, 9% if you take that to senior directors. The gender pay gap is double the national average, it's 30%, so there is a huge need to diversify just to get the products, the buildings, the spaces we develop to reflect the needs of the broader community that we will be serving. So I think that culture of innovation, of having people who have different backgrounds to you, different experiences and different things to contribute, even if it might be challenging to what you think, is something that the real estate industry is really grappling with. That actually diversity and inclusion as an innovation piece is going to have bottom line benefits. It's actually going to change what you deliver. But around that, residential, because everybody has a home, everyone has an opinion and an experience of that. But if you are only developing, funding, structuring, designing those homes from a very small subset of people who have all the very same experience, you're not necessarily going to get places that work for the broadest range of people. I think the most important sort of lesson to crystallise is that innovation is that overarching umbrella term for a huge range of different activities and processes. It's not just buying a gadget. In a world that is going incredibly fast, where you've got digital technology that is absolutely transforming the way that we work and we think, it's very hard to anticipate, but having a process of innovation in your organisations allows you to be a little bit ahead of the game.